Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, This Thing I Call Life. I just wanted to stop for a minute and share a few things. You guys excuse my COVID hair. I think I decided I'm going to grow it back. We'll see how that goes until I get tired of it. But anyway, so yeah, we all know what's going on uh, throughout the country with the elections coming up and COVID still going on. All these things are still happening, right? So I went yesterday to vote. I took my 13-year-old with me to vote. And of course, you have the people who are running for local positions there. And so there were two for the school board that stopped to talk with them. And so I asked the first one, it was a woman, and asked her um, what she thought about children who needed to be accelerated in school. So she shared her thoughts. She said she was an EC teacher at one point, so she knows that there's kids with needs, both for remediation as well as acceleration. And she did say, which I have always felt like there are way more resources for children with remediation than there are for children with acceleration needs. So I have come to the conclusion after talking with her as an educator, as well as speaking with people in the schools, whether it's the teachers or the guidance counselor or whoever, that this country is okay with being average. That's all to it. Just okay with being average. If you have some needs as far as remediation, they'll help pull that child up to that standard, middle standard is fine. But if you have a kid that needs that extra acceleration, they don't really care. They're like, oh, you've got it, you're fine. And those kids, you can see through test scores, you can see through grades, those kids tend to lower their standard. So, not on any fault of their own, but without the proper guidance, the teachers, the extra resources, the materials, even for school, that they lower their standards. So, there's without the resources, it seems as if this country is okay with mediocrity, and I can't stand it. I don't um, push my kids to be average. I push my kids to be excellent. They might give me pushback, but that is the goal. Excellence. That's all to it. So when I see kids, and their friends are included, I push their friends to be excellent as well. My family members, my nieces and nephews, for excellence. That's what I do. And the people that I know, and I don't know a whole ton of people, right? Um, and you tend to know people who are at or above your level, at least at your level, with the similar kind of thought processes, the similar kind of ideals and things. But the point being, the ones that I know also push their kids for excellence. And we tend to communicate with each other a lot about, hey, what have you done for your kid during this time? What have you done to help push your kid? Do you have any resources? We have to use what we know and try to help each other out, right? But as a whole, I just feel like this country is full of mediocrity and below averageness. I can't stand it. It's aggravating because me as a black woman raising two young black men. I was raised, of course, by a black family as well. You see the push, the drive, the determination. You get the understanding, that unsaid thing where you have to work twice as hard to get the same thing. And we all know that it's more than twice as hard. So why do I push my kids? And all you expect from the country, these children, is mediocrity. I mean, you're not. Then, as a country, you want to say we're the greatest country in the world, and blah blah blah. And then that goes into the whole political thing. Where you got a leader who is clearly below average, clearly not even as a leader, intellectually below average, and you push and strive and want people to believe that we are the greatest country in the world and we have this and we have that. But that is some bullshit. That's it. So I have an issue with that. So I talked with her. Then I talked with someone else on the board or running for the board. He is actually on the board now and is running for re-election. That is a full-time police officer. Give me 1 second. This thing is... Okay. So he's a full-time police officer, but he's also on the school board. So this is a white man. And so what did I ask? First question was, what do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? He said he agreed. He said he's gotten some flack because he agrees. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if he was just trying to sell me. I don't know. And so I asked him, so you know that with the climate of the country, this also spills over and it impacts the children's education. So what are you going to do on the school board to ensure that there's equity, equality, racial education, and what are you going to do about this? And so he kind of went around and told me about what he's done in the community and this and that. But, it is what it is. He said that he was trying to start this new initiative. But he did realize that there's also some issues in the school system itself with teachers, administrators. And I've told him we've dealt with it. And it is absolutely present. And he said he was aware of that. And that's something that, training, but you do have to, and I agree with that as well, that he said he just doesn't, he realizes that some people just will not change. But I didn't ask, but I wonder, and I do agree, some people just won't change. There's always going to be something, right? What do you do with those people? You know that they're affecting people's education. You know what type of agenda that they're pushing. What do you do with those people? Do you get them out the school system? If you do, how do you get them out? Because we all know, unless there is written documentation, concrete, and even then, but written documentation, that it's very hard to build a case against someone. But on the other hand, that racism, especially in the school system, from the teachers and those of authority, that is very hard to pinpoint, especially as a student, to pinpoint and say, this is exactly what happened, this is what was done. That there's underlying racism that affects our children. So you really don't have that solid information. So I wonder, what do you do with those people? I mean, me as a parent, I will absolutely stand up quick and tell you what's going on, tell you what I see, this is how it's perceived, and give you the opportunity to explain to me anything different. But that is what I do as a parent, because I am the adult. I speak up for my children. My children may not do that out of pure respect for adults, right? But at the same time, they know something is not right. They know that it's not fair, whether it's against themselves or someone else, but this is always an issue. So these are some things that are on my mind locally. As far as politically wise, presidential race, there's no question on what I'm doing, but it's the local things that do affect my everyday, though in the big picture, yes, the presidential seat affects me, but everyday things, when things affect more my family and my children, is more on a local level, more day-to-day thing that, so that's what I was thinking about. But also, on the other hand, we're still dealing with COVID, right? So this is now going on almost a year. We have all of this, still back and forth with who does what. Well, the bottom line is my mother, who is 81, insisted on going out to the store. Oh, I need some plants and I want to get a pumpkin. A pumpkin. So I understand, she's been in the house basically this whole entire time. She's come to my house a few times. She's gone to doctor's appointments, but that's about it. Nothing much else, right? So she insisted that she needed some plants and stuff. So we go yesterday to Lowe's to get plants. And, if you know how Lowe's is set up, all the plants are outside. And I don't know about where you live, but I already know what these streets look like where I live. But she insisted, so I started, before she even got out of the car, I need you to wipe that cart down. I need you to put your mask on right now. All the plants are outside. You don't have to even go inside. I don't need you to go inside. So we walked there. All of us were there, family. The boys were with grandma, whole nine. And I said, Ma, I'm coming right back. I got to run inside for something, but I'll be right back. You don't need to go inside. So she's outside for a while. I come back. She's gone. She's gone. And on my adventure inside, I noticed how many, like I had my sons with me. We noticed how many people were not wearing masks. And it was disturbing. Like my oldest son was like, ugh, these people are disgusting. I'm fine with that. I don't really care. I don't feel any kind of way that he was, being so harsh and straightforward about it because, yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, in my area, at one point, and I mean recently, within the past 3-4 weeks, there was a report that came out that about 30% of people here regularly wear masks. 30%. That's why I stay my ass in the house. I order off Amazon, order my groceries, go pick them up. That's it. Anything else, if I can go through drive-through at the pharmacy, this is why. Because these people act like ain't nothing happening. But they still know their kids at home and they want their kids back in school. But you won't do right, but you still want your kids back in school. And yes, every school that has opened just about has had some issue with COVID, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a student. They had to quarantine, they had to delay opening, they had to do something with it. But we all know that your shit ain't right, but you still want your kids to go to school. Okay? But needless to say, my mother's out here. I'm getting angry because I can't find my mother. And I'm like, my mother's 81. These people don't have no masks on. Like they don't care about anybody else but themselves. My mother's old. I need her to stay here. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to get sick because somebody else decided not to wear a mask. So, anyway, found her. We dealt with that. Moved on. Then she wanted to go to the Dollar Tree. Now, y'all know how many people are in the Dollar Tree on a Saturday? I was like, no, we're not. No, we're not. Y'all gotta excuse me. That's my dog moaning at something. I have no idea. I don't see anybody. He's just whatever. Come on. Thank you. So, the thing is, when I thought about it, I'm like, I have to tell my mother no, and then my parents, in order to make sure that she's safe, because I have to worry about what other people are doing. Like, we are not a society of empathetic people. We are not a society of not even empathy, but concern for others. You truly only think of yourself. And it's the most aggravating shit ever. Because you have people who are here, like myself, a healthcare provider who has been in this shit since day one, right? no time off, straight up working every day. That's what I've been doing. So you're here to help care for people. And I didn't go into nursing to do this, right? This was not something we were taught about in school. Um, but you have those who are in healthcare doing it. But then it seems like if you're not, and those, there's some in healthcare too, but majority that you care about people, you're concerned about, so you're very aware of what's happening. And then the rest of the world is like, nope, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care if you think you're going to get sick, then you stay home. I'm not staying home. And I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to be out here coughing on things, touching everything, touching people, everything. Yeah. Yeah. But it's those in the helping careers that seem to be like teachers, they're concerned. They're scared to go back to school. They've had to go back to school in some form or fashion. Like my brother, Florida has opened up where they've had to go back to schools and take students in. First week him going back, he got a phone call. His wife got a phone call. That they had been contact traced and they needed to quarantine. Like, this is some straight bull. Like, you knew your kid was sick. You knew that you went to get a test. Why didn't you wait for that test to come back before you sent your kid to school? What is the problem? Like, if you got a test, there's a reason. Whether somebody contact traced you, or you had symptoms, or somebody said to you, you might want to get tested. There was a reason why you got tested, but yet you drove your kid to school and possibly affected the whole school because you wanted to get that one kid out of your house. Maybe you had to go to work. Maybe you didn't. Maybe they're getting on your nerves. Maybe they're not. But the point is, you taking a test, know that you have to wait. And no matter where you live, you are told after you take your test, you need to quarantine until you get your test results. These people are out here doing what they're doing with no care in the world. This is some bull. My life has definitely slowed down. I've been able to concentrate on other things, which is good. But, my regular life, track family, music lessons, running out, doing shopping as I please, just going to different places. I'm not able to do that because I'm concerned about what's happening, but you have no concern. And yet you affect so many more people. I'm out in the healthcare industry and I try my damnedest not to affect anybody. But, I take all my precautions. I come to the house, make sure everything is good. I do my testing every single week. I've tested my family. I've tested at home. I've tested at work. I try to make sure that I'm good. But people run around here like they don't care. Look at your president. Your president act like, and don't please, on that subject, America does not need to be fooled that we have the best going on when it comes to medical care for those with COVID. Your president is in that top 0.5% of people who have the money and the resources available to them. The average people out here getting COVID and getting in hospital ICUs and dying, they don't have those resources. He can pretend like all is great and, we're doing wonderful and I was never really sick. No, I knew you were sick when you took that helicopter ride to the hospital. And I knew when he went to the hospital that he was going to get the absolute best, because that is what his resources provide for him. Me and you and those less that have less than him, we don't have those resources. So don't be fooled that COVID is not that serious because he's out here trying to make it that way. It's absolutely not. It is not a joke out here. So I don't want people to think that, the president got over it. You ain't got president money. You don't have president resources. You don't have the power to overstep, which he did on many things. He bypassed all these other steps to get those treatments. You don't have that. So don't fool yourself. So I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand this, but you don't need to act like it's all good out here, because it ain't. And the people who you think aren't dying or aren't supposed to be dying, they are dying. The kids are dying as well. The kids are dying. And unfortunately, for the majority of children, they are black and brown children. Unfortunately, the majority of the children who have died are of color. And that also goes into the lack of resources, the lack of money, the lack of even basic health care, the lack of hospital resources. Many people are still getting turned away unless you have severe symptoms. You just need to go home and quarantine. So you done got turned away one time. People don't tend to go back to the hospital unless what? They're dying. So I just need y'all to keep that in mind. But overall, that's what's been on my mind. It's been a whole lot. Life is what it is. I just want to make sure everybody is aware COVID is serious. You need to get out here and do what you need to do. Don't go anywhere unnecessarily. Keep yourself and your family safe. I know school is open. Some kids have to go to school. It's mandated, whatever. Make sure everybody's safe. Wear a mask. Make sure your kid wears a mask. And no sharing masks and no taking them off. Make sure you stay safe. And secondly, everybody needs to get out here and vote. Vote. You need to vote.